this is important. LA County stay-at-home order, with all certainty, will be in place for the next 3 months. That's according to the public health director, Dr. Barbara Ferrer, at the LA County Board of Supervisors meeting. This happened yesterday in the morning hours. So the guy we have with us on the line right now, I used to work with him at KDWN. He's a friend, really good at what he does. Very good reporter and news anchor over there at KNX. He moved on to some bigger and better things, and we appreciate it when he always takes some time to join us. Brian Ping joining us right now on the line from KNX. Brian, I appreciate you being here. How are you?
Hey, what's up, Brian?
I'm good, Brian, and JD, thanks, guys, for having me again.
Sure.
Absolutely.
All right, Brian, so explain this to me because this is confusing. How is it that businesses are still starting to open up in L.A., yet we hear yesterday that the county stay-at-home order has been extended 3 months? First of all, your reaction to that, because I was surprised. And how does this work? Kind of give us the background on it.
All right, so what happened yesterday, as you mentioned, Dr. Ferrer, the public health director, said this in a Board of Supervisors meeting, and she didn't say it publicly facing like she does every day. She has a news conference every day where she, sort of lays down what's happening and gives the numbers. If she was in that public setting, I think she would have phrased that a little bit differently. Yes, we're going to have some sort of lockdown order in effect for the next several months, in all likelihood. It could be much further than that until we get a vaccine or something else at that point. That doesn't mean we're going to be in the same lockdown phase we are right now. It's going to come in different phases. We were facing a self-imposed deadline of May 15th, which is this Friday, for this current order to expire. And so they're kind of coming up against it, and, she confided in the supervisors that, look, this is going to have to keep going. People can't have the mentality that May 15th is going to be this magic date where everything reopens and we go back to normal. We are going to have a lockdown in some form. Doesn't necessarily mean what we have now. So when you see these reports like some businesses are starting to reopen, the beaches are starting to reopen, we're still going to see stuff like that. So it's going to happen very slowly and incrementally.
All right. Were you still surprised, though, Brian? You've been out there in L.A. for a while now. Were you still surprised to see that headline? Because and again, I'm not out there. You're more juiced into what's going on in California and particularly L.A. certainly than I am. My first reaction was, wow, that's kind of surprising. What was the first thing that entered your mind when you saw this, and were you surprised?
I can't say I was all that surprised because, we've been hearing the sober assessments about this disease here every day, and we have not turned the corner. The cases are still on the rise. We're not seeing the mega scary surge like we saw in New York, but they're still on a fairly steady climb. I mean, it levels off in some regards. Hospitalizations, ICU admissions, those seem to be steady, but it's not like we're seeing a steady decline in cases. And the state has laid out some guidelines that are, some pretty high bars to meet, and including no deaths at all in 14 days. We're still seeing, dozens, if not, several deaths every day. So we're nowhere close to that. So it doesn't surprise me. Again, I think it was all in the phrasing and the wording of how this got out. But, yeah, I can expect here some form of lockdown for probably more than 3 months, to be honest with you. And I think the really big announcement that we heard yesterday here locally,
the school
systems. Cal State schools deciding, look, we're not going to have in-person classes through the fall semester. I mean, that takes us all the way through the rest of this calendar year, basically.
Yeah, so what does that mean for USC, California? What does that mean for the Pac-12? What does that mean for college sports and professional sports that are taking place not only in California but specifically in Los Angeles? What happens with those two things?
That is the big question right now because college football really kind of gets into gear as far as off-season preparations in the month of July. Well, Los Angeles, as it looks like, is going to be under some form of this stay-at-home order through the month of July, which really complicates matters. I don't know how much of that you can do virtually or with individual workouts. A lot of this still has to be ironed out. And when you're talking about the Cal State campuses, you being in a Mountain West city, 3 Mountain West schools are Cal State schools. Fresno State, San Diego State, San Jose State. Are they even going to be able to? Are they even going to be allowed to be on campus and practice, much less play games? It's a huge question right now, and I think we're a long way away from figuring that out.
And from what I understand, there's about 500,000 students that are enrolled in that California State University system, which is the largest in the United States, obviously. What are your thoughts on, Gavin Newsom and the governors of Nevada, Colorado, California, Washington, and Oregon, a day after they request $1 trillion in federal funding, we'll call it bailout funding, from the federal government, which, in my opinion, will likely not be they will not I don't think they're going to get that money. But a day after that, Barbara Ferrer, she actually quoted Anthony Fauci after Anthony Fauci went on TV yesterday and said that, we most likely, if we open too quickly, we will most likely see a surge. And she actually made that quote after before she announced the 90-day stay-at-home order. But what are your thoughts on just the timing of asking for $1 trillion and then making? I mean, to me, it looks very political at this point.
Well, I got to tell you that if we have to continue these major restrictions on business reopening, that's a lot of money that does not come into public coffers, a lot of lost sales tax revenue and things of that nature. And the states, especially the ones out here, we're facing just a major crunch. So I think they're looking at all their options. But at this point, they may not have a choice but to go hand in hand to the federal government and ask for a lot of money. $1 trillion, people get scared of the T word, but if that's what it takes for this group of Western states and beyond to get through this crisis, I really don't know at this point. That may be what it has to come down to.
Brian, hey, this is Jason Stein, the producer. I just want to jump in because I want to make sure we get this question out there to you. JD and I were talking about it yesterday, and I guess it's kind of a question mark. But what's your feeling if this is extended for several more months and there's just limited things for people to do? Do you think people in California, Los Angeles specifically, are going to, in big numbers come across the border to Nevada and want to hang out here? I mean, Brian Shapiro and I went to Utah the other day because we just wanted to go to a restaurant. Do you think that Californians are going to take advantage of other states that are maybe a little bit more relaxed on opening?
I can tell you what, if Las Vegas opens en masse, if there are enough casinos, a lot to do there, I think there is going to be a flood of customers from California coming across the state line, because I can tell you right now, a lot of people are already itching to get out there. Yeah, a lot of people are obeying the order. They're not going to the beach, even though they could. But look, they know that the smart thing to do is to stay home. I don't know how long that's going to last through the summer until we get a critical mass of people who are like, geez, I really got to get out there and do something. I think that it's going to be interesting to see how Nevada approaches this thing, thinking, could we be sensing an opportunity here? And do you want a lot of people from our state where, like I said, we haven't turned the corner yet for this virus? So it's a big juggling act, I'm thinking, for Sisolak and Goodman and all the decision makers there as to, okay, we want to reopen, we need to. Our city depends so much on tourism, but at what rate?
Well, and actually, Caesars made a statement yesterday that 40% of all of their tourism comes from Southern California. But I wonder if, since Nevada and California are in this Western States pact, that I wonder if Sisolak has already agreed to not open en masse like you described, because they are together in that pact. Do you think that there's something like that's already taken place, and that's why Los Angeles County has shut down for 90 days?
Yeah, wouldn't surprise me at all. And I'm thinking that they're, talking about this, behind closed doors. And, yeah, because, we're talking about an easily crossed and often crossed state line. And when you're talking about trying to contain a virus knows no state line. So a lot of that is important. We're seeing what's happening in Arizona today. They want to reopen gyms. They want to reopen a lot of businesses and start allowing pro sports to happen there again, albeit without fans, but they're kind of going in a different direction. And so what's going to happen with all of that? Are we going to see a surge in cases there like the likes of Dr. Fauci are predicting? And could that spill over? So you're right. It's important that these states work in coordination. And, there is some promise that these Western states want to do that. But whether that impacts how travel is, will Governor Newsom take exception to the idea of Las Vegas admitting a lot of people? And as he brought that up, that's a really interesting thing to look at.
If you're just joining us, we're speaking with Brian Ping, former reporter and anchor here at KDWN, now in L.A. at KNX. Brian, I wanted to ask you a little bit about the protest. Obviously, we've had some protests here in Las Vegas, in Carson City. obviously there's been protests across the country. My personal opinion on it, and I've been very consistent on this, I think the majority of these people that are protesting, it's just a Trump rally. That's exactly what I think it is. I went to one myself just to check it out. Most of these people are, with their Trump signs, recall Sisolak. I'm sure you've seen the same in L.A. Can you talk to me a little bit about what these protests have been like? What have they looked like in L.A., and are they going to continue?
Well, I'll tell you what, if you take the Venn diagram, if you show protesters against the stay-at-home order and Trump supporters, that's a very big middle. It's true. And a lot of people who are of that mind, it's a lot of anti-government types as well. And it's a lot of people who have genuine concerns about wanting to reopen their business because, they're possibly shaking off this virus. I don't really know what they think as far as the virus is concerned or whether they're concerned for them or their loved ones. But to them, these businesses are a more immediate concern in them being able to live the lives they want without government interference. I mean, that's a mentality that goes to a lot of people in this country. But this is a vocal minority, still a minority, but a very vocal one. It hasn't gotten out of hand. It hasn't gotten violent or anything like that. Yeah, you're going to have some people vent their frustrations. Do they represent the majority of people in California? No, they don't. But it's inevitable that some people, their frustrations are going to boil over. At maybe a good portion of them, they're facing dire straits. They've lost their jobs. They have nowhere else to turn, and then they've just had it. But it's going to be interesting to see if they don't release these lockdowns in due time. It's a big balancing act politically. Because
no, I agree.
You don't want this to reach a critical mass where the silent majority starts calling for mass change. That would be problematic. It's not opening everything, so we have a big viral problem, but also kind of letting out the pressure valve a little bit.
And speaking of mass political changes, California did just lose a seat. Katie Hill's seat was just lost to a Republican competitor yesterday by 12 points, and there another seat. Tamika Carmichael, I believe, has a chance of taking another House seat in California. So there might be a bit of a red surge taking place in California right now.
It's a case where Democrats had such a successful 2018. In the midterms, taking over a lot of traditionally conservative seats. I think this might be some regression to the mean here. The district where Mike Garcia appears to have won is traditionally conservative. It's kind of in the northern reaches as you're kind of getting out towards the valleys and deserts of LA County. So, yeah, that does skew a little more conservative. I know a lot of people are going to be reading into this as far as what we can expect later this November. I'm not going to read a ton into it. Although I think Republicans could claim a couple seats in Southern California again, because right now they only control one congressional seat in all of Southern California. We're talking, I think, about 24 seats. They control one in the Inland Empire. So naturally, they're probably going to gain a couple back, but it's definitely still going to be an overwhelmingly Democratic portion of the state, especially in terms of congressional seats.
Brian, I guess this would be our last question for you. As you know, you spent time in Las Vegas. A big part of Las Vegas, a huge part of the economy, obviously, is the gambling side of it, right? The casino side. It's really what pumps Las Vegas and keeps it going for the most part. L.A. is also very unique in this perspective. I mean, there's a lot of unique parts to L.A. and California, but let's be honest, Hollywood, the movie industry, a huge part of what makes L.A. fantastic, right? The movie stars, the celebrities. Can you talk to me a little bit about that side of this thing? I mean, there were movies that were in the middle of being in the middle of production that had to stop filming. There were movies that couldn't, get out in the theaters because of all this. I mean, this really put a standstill to the entertainment business and the film industry. Can you just talk a little bit from that aspect?
It's devastating. There's no other, lesser way to describe it other than this could fundamentally change Hollywood and the film industry. I mean, look at movie theaters, how all these, big ticket films that were due for release in summer, I mean, they're getting pushed back. It's not going, straight to streaming. And maybe now the studios are like, well, maybe this is a model that we can use going forward. So how does that shape the entire approach to filming? And yeah, like you said, it is very much a company town, LA, just like Las Vegas is for gambling. And the unemployment rate in LA County, I can tell you, is a lot higher than what you can see for the rest of California and the rest of the U.S. And it's not just film, also entertainment and theme parks. Orange County, millions of people, or hundreds of thousands of people are employed in some way, shape, or form in that segment of the industry, like Disneyland and Knott's Berry Farm. I mean, they're not going to be open for months and months. And, yeah, we are so heavily dependent on that segment of the economy, and L.A. is so exposed to it that it's really going to be interesting to see how we're going to come out of it over the next few months. But it's not looking good, not for a while here.
There is no doubt that within the next several years, there's going to be a hit Hollywood movie called Coronavirus. Something like that is going to happen. There's no question about that. Listen, Brian, I really do appreciate you taking the time to join us, as you always do. You do such a fantastic job, and you give us such a great aspect with your expertise being out there in L.A., man. Keep up the great work. We appreciate you, and look forward to talking to you again soon. Stay safe, you and your family, okay?
Thanks a lot, Brian. Yeah, thanks, guys. It's always a pleasure being on.